move on to the next animal habitat, I did want to point out our vet hospital. So behind me, you'll notice that we do have a vet hospital here on grounds. It's really nice. We do not have to transport animals off of property. We can do everything for them here. We do have a vet on staff. She actually started as an animal care intern. She became staff. She left for school and she came back. So she did make a full circle. And what's great is this vet hospital did open less than a month before we got the phone call on the Colorado project. So the first major things that happened in that vet hospital were the animals that we rescued from Colorado. So whenever you're here at Turpentine, as you go by on the tour loop, you will be able to see the building off in the hillside. And back behind it is the retirement area. So it is kind of between all the animals in the tour loop and Discovery and that retirement area. But we are going to scoot around to Miss Luna because she is out and about and she's very curious as to what we are doing. So we're here with Miss Luna, as you see behind me. So she came with Remington from Florida just a little over a month ago. So Luna and Remington were actually part of about a 3-year court case that we were working alongside with PETA. So here at Turpentine, we cannot legally take an animal away. They have to get taken away by a governing agency or they have to surrender them over. We are not allowed to take away and confiscate. So PETA was working to try and get these animals out of the hands of a fake roadside zoo in Florida. And there is video footage of Miss Luna here trying to get out of a swimming pool when she was a cub because they would let people swim with her as a baby. She would try to get out and they would yank her back in by her tail. And there's also a video of them slamming her to the ground when she's being the cat that she's just meant to be. So this is why I say knowing before you go is really important, because it is the out of sight, out of mind things that do happen to these cats that most people don't stop and think about. But Miss Luna here has been loving seeing the school groups and kids coming through because they look different. They're a little smaller, and so she's been very interested in watching kids that come through Turpentine Creek. And when we first got her, it did snow just a dusting shortly after we got her, and she was really interested in what the new white stuff was because she was from Florida. But she isn't here with Remington. He is at the top of the hill right now, so you cannot really see him right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn around. Miss Shakira is laying out in her habitat. We're going to talk a little bit more about ligers. So we're here with Miss Shakira. She is another one of our ligers. So with the ligers, you will notice that they have the lion color. They have faint tiger stripes. They do end up with the white spots on the back of their ears, which is a tiger trait we will talk about. These guys sometimes try to make the noise of a tiger and try to make the noise of a lion. Sometimes they like to play in water like a tiger. Sometimes they don't like water like a lion. Miss Shakira here is not that fond of pools in the summertime, so she usually doesn't use it. A liger is easiest to remember. The dad has the first letters of the name in the big cat hybrids. So it is a dad lion and a mom tiger to make a liger. They have the potential to suffer from giganticism and be very large. The opposite is a tigon. It is a dead tiger and a mom lion, and they can suffer dwarfism and be a lot smaller. And then you have tie ligers and lie ligers, and it goes on and on. We do have a tie liger in our Discovery area, so he was a dad tiger and a mom liger. The males are sterile in these species. The females sometimes can have babies. They are not a true species. As we mentioned before, they're not going to come together naturally in the wild. And when I say a liger can be large, you guys, the largest liger alive, unfortunately, is at a fake roadside zoo. He weighs over 900 pounds, and he's about 13 feet long from his tail to his nose. His heart will give out on him with these issues that he faces, all because of the breeding to make money off of them. But Miss Shakira here loves her neighbor Karma. They love to stalk each other, and here in a minute when we come up to Karma, I'll tell you a little bit more about their stalking. But I do want to tell you about food that we give these animals, because over the hillside is our commissary area. We do get a lot of help from Tyson, so if you ever know anyone that works for Tyson, please thank them for us. They give us over 300,000 pounds of meat a year free, and they give us both bone and boneless for these cats as well. And then also we get help from local cattle farmer. If a cow has passed in a 24-hour time frame of a natural cause, we will feed that out. The cats love it. And if you like popsicles, these guys do too. However, they don't like grape, lime popsicles, that kind of popsicle. They like a special big cat popsicle, either a meat sickle where we'll just freeze their meat, but we also will give them a blood sickle where we will reserve the blood from the cow and juices from the chicken boxes, and we will freeze that blood and give it to them in the summertime. So if you're here and it's hot and a cat has a red face, they've had their carnivore treat. And mind you, these guys are carnivores, so they absolutely love it. It's a great enrichment for them as well. But we're going to scoot on up here to Karma, and we'll tell you a little bit about stalking with these cats. So we are here with Miss Karma. So she is also a liger. She came from a place in Missouri who had fence regulations. They needed to raise their fences. So we did rescue Miss Karma from this facility as well. But I like to talk about stalking with Karma and Shakira. So they both came from different places. Karma is from Missouri, Shakira is from the Colorado project. So they're not together, but they love to watch each other. So when any cat stalks, you're going to notice they're ambush predators. So they want to get as close to their prey as possible before they attack. So what these guys will do is whenever they're stalking, you will see them pick their front foot up and they will put their back foot directly where that front foot was. Some of our cats I've noticed stalked so quietly, try to be super quiet, sometimes that front paw is shaking. But in the wild, think about it, when they're stalking their prey to get that food, they want to be super quiet. And if they've already smashed grasses and leaves down with the front foot, putting the back foot's not going to make any extra noise. So these two do like to stalk each other, and in the summertime we'll have the cane grass and stuff a little taller, and you will see them watching each other between the grasses. It's just another natural enrichment for them, which, speaking of enrichment is provided to them to keep their minds and their bodies active. So these guys cannot be released back out into the wild. As we mentioned before, they're habituated, and also genetics are impure. So these guys get toys, everything from Christmas trees, pumpkins, watermelons, perfume. It smells different. They'll mark their territory, kitchen spices in a paper sack. It's almost like a catnip for them. And then they have the big plastic toys like the giant boomer ball I talked about earlier that weighs about 60 pounds. So these guys are always getting toys. They have toys constantly in their habitat, and on a weekly basis, they're getting a different kind of toy as well. So when visiting Turpentine, some of the things you can donate for enrichment would be perfume and kitchen spices, paper sacks, that kind of thing. But we're going to scoot on up. Mr. Thurston is hanging out in his habitat. Miss Karma's taking her nap, so we'll move on up to Thurston. So we're here with Thurston. Thurston is also a solo white tiger like Mama, and another tiger that you will see further down. So Thurston here came from that Colorado project as well, but prior to Colorado, he was on a magic show where they declawed him and they sawed down his canines. So when a cat is declawed, it is not just their nail that goes away. It's actually 10 different amputations. It will go down to about part of their knuckle, so it's like bending your finger over to your first knuckle, or half of your toe, basically walking on that. It causes problems for these cats, any animal that's declawed, because then it will go up their shoulders into their backs and cause arthritis and other problems. These cats are supposed to walk toes back, not flat-footed. So the weight that they have, even your house cats, it causes issues for them with walking. So they are on a pain management regimen for their declaw, because we unfortunately get a lot of cats who their owners have declawed them. And the decanining, the sawing down the canines, is the same thing. They feel like if they take the weapons away of these animals, it's going to make them safe as people, but you're causing these health issues for them, and also his size is still going to hurt you, and the pressure alone with his bite down. He can still have meat and bone in his meat and his diet. He has his other teeth. It's just the canines that they did saw down. And the canines are primarily used for that attacking that they do in the wild. And being these animals, they are a predator, not a pet, as I mentioned before. Thurston here, we do watch how he does. If he starts not coming down the hillside, our vet does assessments on these cats and our animal care staff, and this is when we decide to move them down to Rescue Ridge if we see that they start having issues walking up and down the hill, especially those who have been declawed. So he cannot chew on his toys, but he can smash his toys, and he does love playing with the barrel that he has in his habitat. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoot over to Thunder and Keisha for you guys to see them. So we're here with Thunder and Keisha. They're the first two orange tigers on the tour that you have seen. So these guys are actually in an alternating habitat. They're not technically together. They didn't come together. So we do have a few alternating habitats until we get more of those habitats built, but it does allow us to rescue more animals that need rescue if nowhere else has space. But it also allows us to separate if they do try to fight with each other, even if they were living together. So what I mean by alternating habitats, the fenced area that they're both in is called a night house. There are 2 night houses to every grassy habitat. And so kind of a history on that is there used to be 1 night house, 1 grass habitat, till a gentleman in Quitman, Arkansas had over 50 cats. Basically was trying to figure out how he could legally euthanize. So we built 2 night houses to get those animals out, worked along with another sanctuary as well to rescue them before that happened. So Keisha's day is out today. Thunder's is out tomorrow. Thunder likes to give people a souvenir to take home, so whenever you're here visiting Turpentine, if he comes out, he'll usually try to chuff, make a noise at you. He'll turn around, he'll try to spray you, and he can reach you up to 10 feet away. And he's discovered where he can reach people at, where he can't reach people at. But these two are in different sizes because tiger sizes depends on the species that they have in them. They can weigh from 300 to 600 pounds naturally, But the thing is, with the tigers found in backyards and at these fake places are what you call a generic American tiger. They are a mixed breed. They're not just one pure species of tiger. So true accredited zoos through AZA will breed to keep species from going extinct. That's the Aquarium and Zoo Association. True sanctuaries will not breed because you need to leave room for those who need rescue, but also the genetics are impure with these animals found in the backyards. So I told you at the beginning there are more tigers living in the US than in the wild. There are less than 4,000 tigers remaining in the wild, and there are estimated 10 to 20,000 big cats in the US, and most of those are in someone's backyard. So I always like to say adults get to know your neighbors because you don't know what people are going to have. We have rescued from inside houses, basements, backyards, frat houses. We've rescued from a number of places. But what we're going to do is we're going to scoot up, see if we can see Mr. Montana and Pancho, and then we'll scoot on up to Detroit as well. So we're here at Montana and Pancho's habitat. This is a prime example. You know how I mentioned that they're free to be wherever they would like to be. So right now we can't see these guys. They are two brothers. They're close to 600 pounds that came from the Colorado Project. They once were living together. Now they're separated, but they live next door to each other and share the alternating habitats. So they really like to come down and greet people on the tours, especially when there's a lot of people on the tour. They'll come out, they'll make their noises, chuff at you, and then Thunder, who I talked to you about earlier, who likes to spray on people, sometimes comes from behind. So sometimes they tag team, not all of the time. These two are also orange tigers. So tigers in the wild face a number of problems. Unfortunately, you know, people hunt them for their pelts, as I'm sure you're aware, but tiger bone wine is a real thing. They feel like there is healing powers with bone, bile, and a number of body parts that come from tigers and other animals. So if you ever travel throughout Asia, please look on the back of your products and around the world. It doesn't matter where you travel, to make sure that there are not animal products on them. Also, habitat destruction is a big factor for Sumatran tigers and orangutans due to the palm oil. All tiger species face habitat destruction, but palm oil is something that impacts the Sumatran tiger species in general. So what happens is palm oil is found in over half of our food products and pet products in the store. It is a colorless, odorless oil that gives food longer shelf life. So these habitats are being destroyed to plant more of these oil palm trees. These trees grow naturally in the wild where these tigers are found at, but not on the mass scale that the industry would like to see. So they're demolishing these trees, planting green deserts, as they call them, and it's about the size of New Zealand, actually. And so that's a lot of biodiversity that is gone. These animals don't have, their prey doesn't have, so they are losing their life. So what you can do to help tigers in the wild is you can be the voice to make sure that their animal parts are not being used, but you can also download the palm oil app, and it will tell you companies and products that use it or not. As I mentioned earlier, we have the voice to be these here in the US to help stop the issues they face, but also to be the voice for their wild counterparts. Because it's very realistic in our lives, we can see tigers go extinct in the wild, but any children that you have, grandkids, nieces, nephews, they very well will see the day that tigers go extinct. So we all have a very important role to play to be the voice for these guys. But we're gonna scoot up to Detroit to see if he's out and about. So we're here with Mr. Detroit. He is laying on top of his bench. You will notice that he is laying with his stomach up. This is one of the ways they cool themselves off, especially in the summer, is they will roll over and they'll let air flow over their stomach because they cannot sweat like we can. So this is how they cool themselves off. But this is also what I like to say, why we're here. If you think about an animal who's been abused, their stomach is the most vulnerable part. They're really not going to show you that until they're comforted. So this is what it's all about. Mr. Detroit has been here since he was under a year old. We rescued him from Kansas. And if you will notice, this blue ball that is the bottom of the hillside, that's that 60-pound boomer ball I've mentioned a few times that they will drag around. That is another one of their toys. It is super thick plastic. You can't even really jab a kitchen knife into it. These guys will gradually destroy them. And as they destroy their toys, we do take them out of their habitats. So when the leaves come on the trees in the summertime, Detroit, a lot of times you can just kind of see a foot, a tail. Sometimes you can see him, but that is his favorite spot. It kind of hides him in the shade, and he really likes that area because it's very shaded in the summertime. We're going to scoot up to Miss Shasta and see if she's out and tell you a little bit about her. So we're here at Shasta's habitat. So Shasta is an orange tiger. She came with Izzy, another tiger that we have at our retirement area. Izzy and Shasta were owned by an elderly lady, and she ended up becoming ill and could not take care of these cats. And basically we were able to rescue these guys, which is great because no one should ever have them in their home, whether they're healthy or not. These guys are dangerous. Shasta here was with Izzy. Izzy is at the retirement area because Izzy also was declawed and we had to do surgery because her nail bits were coming out her paw pads. So a lot of times when this declaw happens, there's still shards in there, and sometimes they'll start poking out through the paw pads. So we did move Izzy down there. So Shasta's in the habitat here by herself. She's our Valentine's baby. Her birthday is on Valentine's. So all these animals get birthday enrichment, they get holiday enrichment, and they get their normal enrichment as well. The red ball seems to be her favorite one. She really loves to come down here and play with this red ball. But a tiger, you can tell a tiger from another tiger by their stripe pattern. Their stripes are like our fingerprints. No tiger has the same stripe pattern, and their stripes go all the way down to their skin, not just on their fur, which is really cool. She likes to stare at Detroit. Sometimes we come down here and they're just staring at each other. And then sometimes everybody will be staring at everybody all the way up to almost the end of the hillside. We are going to scoot up to Snowball. He is hanging out on his bench, and we'll tell you a little bit about him. So we're here with Snowball. I like to call him Snowball the goofball. So Snowball is one of Mama and Bosco's, who you saw back at the beginning of the tour at that corner back there. So Snowball here, he is Master Destroyer is also what I like to call him. He destroys a lot of his toys. So he's always got different kinds of toys. The 60-pound boomer ball, I have one he's destroyed. A couple barrels he's destroyed in less than a day. He likes to stalk our work truck. So if our work truck drives by, he comes running up the hill. He thinks he can get the work truck. He also really loves water. So in the summertime, sometimes we'll spray the water hose and the cats will just come running and playing in the water. He'll come up, he'll try to bite at the water. He also usually likes to really watch the school groups. He doesn't really fully stalk them most part, but he'll come halfway down the hill a lot of times watching the groups, and then he'll walk backwards up the hillside, still watching them all the way. And he'll do that with our large public tours as well. So he's always into something, he's always doing something. He likes to stare at his new neighbors that he has next door to him that we're going to see in a second. So he likes to watch everything that is going on around him. And you will also notice that he is up on his bench. That is one of his new favorite spots. In the summer, we put pools in there with these guys. He'll spend a lot of his time in the pool. And so he's discovered if he takes his toys into the pool, he'll make a lot of bubbles, because sometimes we'll put kids' bubble bath in these pools. It's another enrichment. And he'll push his toys around and he'll make even more bubbles. But what we're going to do is we're going to scoot up to Miss Kiara and Nala, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. And we just have a few more habitats left. So we're here with Nala and Kiara. They are two orange tigers. They've been here with us for about a month. We rescued them out of Oklahoma from a gentleman who had them. And so Nala and Kiara are new to the refuge. So every cat, whenever we rescue all these animals, they adjust in their own way. And these girls have adjusted great. They really like watching everybody that goes through. Snowball is the one who likes to stare at them because they're new neighbors to him. They look a little different than he does because he's a white tiger. They're an orange tiger. So white tigers, orange tigers, ligers, they all end up with spots on the back of their ears. That's actually a tiger trait. If you'll notice, they have white spots on their ears, on the tips of their ears. This is for protection, mostly in the wild. It's fake eyes, is basically like a butterfly or moth uses eye spots. Tigers do as well. They'll also communicate with those eye spots, like moms and cubs together, and certain twitches and things like that. But imagine that you're a tiger and you're in the jungle and you hear a predator coming up behind you, such as another tiger. They generally are going to stop moving and they're going to start twitching those ears, and it will look like they're staring at the other tiger in the face. As soon as your back is turned, this is when you're vulnerable. So you guys, we've been here since 1992. No escapes, no accidents. We're super strict on safety. We're never in there with these cats. We're never hands on the fence. We do not do that. We do not put our knees on the ground. We do not bend over right at the fence. We do not turn our back right at the fence. You have to be strict with safety. A door equals a life for you and for them. So the way we clean is they're locked into their night house while we're in the habitat cleaning. And then when we need to clean the night house, they're in their habitat while we're in the night house cleaning. We can open and close their doors from the outside. These guys are beautiful, deadly animals, as I mentioned before. Nala and Kiara do like to stalk. You'll see them coming down the hillside and you won't even really hear them as they come down. I don't know if you can see, but there is a blue barrel in their habitat with a bunch of holes. Those are tiger teeth marks. Tigers do have a 3-inch tooth that is this size for their attacking of their prey, and a lot of times they go directly for the neck when they attack. So these enrichment toys enable them to use those instincts to attack. But what we're going to do is we're going to scoot up to Chuff, Abigail, and Athena. We just have a few habitats left. So we're here with Chuff, Abigail, and Athena. These are 3 tigers who came from Branson. There was a fake roadside zoo in Branson that allowed interaction with their predators. So they told a young man, he was 15, almost 16 years old, he was a volunteer, that he could go in the habitat with these cats. He went in, he tripped, he fell, they attacked him. He is lucky he is alive, but he is paralyzed from the neck down. So here's why I say researching is really important. Had he lost his life, no doubt they would have lost their life. They were being the cat that they're meant to be. It is really sad that there are over 40 places still in the U.S. that allow people to go in and interact and cub pet with these animals. So we do have true sanctuary checklists that we have available here at the refuge, but we also will have them online as well. It gives you questions to ask yourself when visiting. It is okay to be nosy and ask, how many times a day do you water your animals? Do your animals have the ability to get out of the weather if they want? Can they get out of the view of the public if they want to? Do you provide them toys to keep them active? If people stop visiting the fake places, there's better chance that these animals are going to end up in the proper lives that they need to be. But if people keep visiting the fake places, nothing will ever change for these animals. And this is not just a US problem, it is around the world. So you learning what places to visit and what to do, what not to do, not only helps us here at Turpentine, but it helps these animals around the world. And that is what's key, is to help give these animals the life that they deserve. So what we're going to do is we have one last habitat left. We're going to scoot up to Robbie and Tommy. I'll tell you about them, and then we'll be done. So here we are with Robbie and Tommy. They are the last 2 tigers on the tour. They are 2 of the other white tigers that came from the rescue out of Oklahoma last year, where the gentleman had 6 tigers. There was another tiger. He was an orange tiger around 3 years old. His name was Diesel. Whenever we got him, he was severely sick. So once we arrived to the vet hospital, we discovered he did have a blood pathogen from a flea tick borne disease. So this is why those questions are really important whenever visiting a place. Quality of life is an important thing, and unfortunately Diesel had to lose his life because of lack of of carelessness, of these people not caring for these animals the proper way. So this is why I encourage you when visiting a place, be nosy and ask questions. It is okay to call and ask all those questions. We had given examples before on the care of these animals and how they do all their routine with all these animals. Do they contact them? Do they not? No true sanctuary, no true zoo, as I mentioned before, is going to allow you to interact with these big predators. Fake ones still are. It is important to be the voice for the wildlife because they do not have their own voice. So as we're closed due to the coronavirus up until April 1st, as of right now, we will be doing these virtual tours for you guys. Programs, things like that. So if you can, please just donate. The cost of admission or anything that you can donate would go back to help us care for all these animals, because we are here for them. They are not here for us. They're not here to entertain us. They are here to get the life that they deserve. So until next time, whenever we're able to reopen again to the public, hope you enjoy and follow our social media for any updates that we have. And stay safe out there. We will see you guys soon. Thank you. I'm done.